Ooh, yeah. Well, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the Wrestling Classic here, aka Justin, or maybe the other way around. I don't know. And this week we are back on Squared Circle DNA podcast talking about everyone's favorite wrestler, the big dog, the guy. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's the guy. And his name is Roman Reigns of the Roman Empire. And we're going to talk about everything. I'm obviously not here alone, as per usual. I'm here with my co-host, the one, the only, the man that has 400 action figures that he needs to sell. If you're a wrestling action figure collector, look up Danny. There we are.
Cheap plug.
What's the story called? Live and let play?
Live long and play.
Oh, I was like quoting Paul McCartney or something.
Right.
Live and let die.
Live and
let die. Live and let die action figures.
There you go. Good Lord. Man, Roman Reigns got, what a polarizing topic he's been for us this week, man. Look at our
He's not very popular.
No, he's not. Man, like, we posted so much content on our Instagram page this week, and we gained 4 total followers because
we've lost like 20 or something.
We've lost like 20, but we gained 24. So we've only gained a net of 4 followers. Like, how crazy is that?
And not to sound like an egomaniac, but like on the Wrestling Classic, I can never really see those numbers because once you hit a K, you just see a K and you see the one number drop if anything happens. But to physically be like, oh shit, we were at like 330, and obviously we have the goal to hit 10K by hopefully the 10th episode. And to see a drop was like, I forgot the feeling, and I'm like, well, that's shitty. Like, what are we supposed to do to pick this back up? I don't remember what that was like. And you were asking me, and I'm like, I don't know anymore. Like, I just don't know. But we had the whole idea that, you know, we'll post Roman Reigns episodes, Roman Reigns videos this week because whatever, what are you going to talk about Roman Reigns today? And we're like, oh, you know, all the fans that love Roman Reigns, like there's supposedly somewhere out there in this universe, there's a group of fans that love Roman Reigns, and we thought they'd follow us, but that wasn't the case.
The people that like Roman Reigns did not find us. That's my take home.
But then also, I think there's a big factor that as much as Roman Reigns is hated or loved, the Roman Reigns hashtag, like just his name, is probably so convoluted of anything to do with wrestling. There's certain wrestlers, like you look up their hashtag and you won't even find videos of them. You'll find videos of everything because people just know it as a popular hashtag.
It's true. It is very true.
And that is the Roman Reigns problem, guys. That is our podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm just joking.
We don't want to lose any more listeners. So we're out.
So Roman Reigns, if you like him, you like him. If you hate him, you hate him. It was great talking to you guys.
Touche. We're out.
I'm joking. Okay, we're here to talk about Roman Reigns, and we're just gonna have a conversation about Roman Reigns. We're not gonna sit here. We're not gonna, talk about his entire career from like 2012 to 2018 or whenever he came through with the Shield. We're not going to really focus on the Shield as a group. I think we'll do a Shield episode in the future. I think we're just going to talk about Roman Reigns and just how we feel about him because, like Danny mentioned earlier, he is one of the most polarizing figures in the WWE. Possibly more polarizing at this point than John Cena. For a very long, like almost a decade, John Cena was the most polarizing character. I think at this point in Cena's career, a lot of people respect him and they tolerate him. And Reigns is the guy they're kind of like, he's not ours. He wasn't chosen by us. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to touch on today.
Yeah. Well, so like Roman Reigns, when you talk about his like kind of comparison to John Cena, when you think about it and everybody goes, well, Roman Reigns is always in the main event. He's always this, he's always that, right? But if you notice, if you actually like dig deep into the stats, which Justin and I went through the vault today, guys. We got everything. We got bullet points in the whole 9 yards. But Roman Reigns has headlined the same amount of WrestleManias consecutively that Hulk Hogan did. Just think about that for a second. That's crazy. 31, 32, 33, and 34. All close with him.
I think Hogan did more though. Consecutive, you're trying to say though, right? 1, 2, 3,
right.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hogan did 9. 8.
Well,
Reigns is getting there though.
Yeah. But
If it makes it,
crazy.
if you really want to make an argument, Roman Reigns is main event at WrestleMania more times than The Rock, more times than Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yeah.
more times than the Ultimate Warrior, more times than the Macho Man Randy Savage. Roman Reigns is main event at WrestleMania more times than Randy Orton.
More
Does
times
that
than
make
the Heartbreak Kid.
more times than
Arguably arguably the greatest wrestler of all time.
He's headlined it more than Bret Hart. He's headlined it more than a bunch of guys that you would be like, oh, they're bigger stars, they're more popular than Roman Reigns. Like Roman Reigns has headlined WrestleMania more than them, and that shows you the effort the WWE has put in trying to make Roman Reigns the face of the company. And we're gonna start from 2014 when the Shield broke up, when Seth Rollins took that chair and hit Roman Reigns in the back, and you heard that fan in the crowd go no, and then it was like Dean Ambrose's shocked face. From that point forward, when you looked at the three Shield guys, it looked like, okay, they're going to try to build Seth to be the top heel, they're going to build Roman to be the top babyface, and Dean, they're going to figure it out as we go.
Basically, yeah. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. So what happens? What happens after the Shield breaks up? Right away,
Reigns is automatically put in the title picture and the WWE Championship picture. But the crazy thing about that is I think the fans are still kind of okay with it at that point. If you go back to the 2014 Royal Rumble and it came down to Roman Reigns and Batista, like Roman Reigns was being cheered. People want, like, when Daniel Bryan didn't come out and Rey Mysterio was number 30 and everyone is pissed and Batista won, like the fans were pissed, but they were rooting for Roman Reigns to at least beat Batista, and that didn't happen. And I'm a huge Batista fan, and I think Rey Mysterio is great, but those guys were getting booed because they wanted that new younger star to rise to the occasion kind of thing. And it wasn't Daniel Bryan. When that didn't happen, the fans kind of, at that point, I think the fans chose Roman Reigns. They wanted Roman Reigns. As much as people deny it now, they're like, no, I've always hated Roman Reigns. I've been a Seth Rollins guy since day one, man. Tyler Black. But no, like a lot of people, when the Shield were together, were on the Roman Reigns bandwagon. I think all three of them were super popular, but a lot of people looked at Roman Reigns and said, oh, this guy's the guy at that point. So when they put him in the picture right after the Shield broke up, I wasn't surprised at that point.
No, it made sense because he was the muscle of the Shield.
Yeah,
and the muscle is always, when a group breaks up, the muscle is always the one that gets pushed first. It's almost certainty.
I don't know, man. That's a different argument because let's look at evolution. Batista was last.
Yes, and well, he was also newer though.
And I don't know about you, but when it was the Hart Foundation, I don't remember Jim Neidhart getting the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, that's true.
I just tossed it.
But that wasn't a group.
I just took your theory and threw it out the window, okay?
No, think about groups. You don't talk about tag teams.
I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just the guy. I can't help it. It's what I do, you know? You just got hit with a Superman punch. Believe that. Anyways.
How many of them? How many?
I'm cocking this fist, dude. I've been cocking all week. We're ready for this episode. You know, someone's like, I'm really glad. One of my really good buddies was like, I'm really glad you guys are doing this Roman Reigns episode so early while you guys are still figuring this out, because, man.
That's messed up.
Nobody wants to hear that shit. And I'm like, you know what? We didn't realize it until we started posting content on the page.
We thought it'd be good. Maybe we should rethink Bailey's episode.
There's a Bailey episode?
We've been had the list forever. Come on.
That stressed me out.
All right, only Attitude Era stuff going forward, guys. Got it. We got the memo.
That's not the memo. But anyways, still 2015, Roman Reigns. Right after the Shield broke up, he was put in the title picture. He had a great match. Personally, I think a great match around during that SummerSlam. What do you think about Roman Reigns after the Shield broke up?
I thought he started off doing the right stuff. I think for me, he had a good match. Like you said, he had a very good match at SummerSlam with Randy Orton. He had a good match at Night of Champions. But I think for me, and I'm going to kind of jump a little bit in the timeline because it didn't start until like the end of that year. His feud with Big Show to me is what ruined it. Because as much as I respect the Big Show, and appreciate what he's done over the years, he's almost he sucks the air out of any feud
At that point of his career, like he wasn't a draw in my mind, Big Show.
Right. Yeah, and then we had Roman and the Beanstalk.
That you pointed out a few times. That really, I honestly like, and this is gonna tell you why my opinion about Roman's so like not as bad as other people's. Is that I might have mentally blocked out all the stuff I just disliked. And I became that person as I got older. If I didn't like something, I'm just like, well, we'll just pretend that never happened and we'll move on. I when you brought that up, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that promo. And I remember making a joke about it on my page, showing like the and it's weird how like it depends who's doing it and when. Like I think it was 2000, in the year 2000 actually, when Shane McMahon was feuding with Big Show, and he did a whole Jack and the Beanstalk promo, and he had the book and everything. It worked, maybe just because it was Shane and he wasn't a big guy, and it made sense. But Roman being this, like, this is why I think the WWE has done wrong with Roman, and I realized this. Because my biggest beef with Roman is I don't think Roman's that bad. Let's kick off with that. I don't think Roman's that bad. I don't hate Roman. Did I boo him with everybody else at the AT&T Stadium when I was in a crowd of 100,000 people? Fuck yeah, that shit was contagious. But I don't actually hate the guy. I don't hate Roman Reigns. I don't love Roman Reigns either. I just think he's not the worst. There's been people that have been worse wrestlers than him. He's not entertaining. Like, I've watched Roman Reigns matches and been like, everyone will be like, well, that match is only good because of AJ Styles, or that match is only good because it was with Seth Rollins. It takes two to tango. Roman holds his weight, and I think he can. There's a couple of things that bother me about Roman. One, he needs to change his look. He's still rocking the Shield look that everyone else dropped, and they grew and they adapted and they moved on. Roman's still that same guy, and I know it's like, well, it sells merchandise. We sell those stupid gloves and we sell those stupid vests, and like, why is a big tough guy wearing a safety vest?
Why is he D'Lo Brown?
Yeah, why is the tough guy dressed like D'Lo Brown? Why is Roman Reigns like Daniel Bryan was able to be the ultimate underdog because Daniel Bryan looks like the ultimate underdog. He looks like the guy that shouldn't be the champion. The fact that the fans are so connected with Daniel Bryan is one, because the fans chose Daniel Bryan, and two, you actually felt like Daniel Bryan was the underdog. When they said the Authority was against Daniel Bryan, you believed it. When you say the Authority is against Roman Reigns, you're like, no, he's a big dude. You know he has everything they want. We live in the internet era where everyone knows that the WWE is pushing for Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is the guy. We hear that all the time. Roman Reigns is the guy. He's the chosen one. He's Vince's favorite. As much as they like to say they listen to their crowd, like, if we hear that stuff all the time, then you're doing exactly what's feeding into that theory, then the fans turn on him. And I think, one, he never changed. Two, we know that he's the chosen one. And three, they always try to make him like he's the underdog, when it's like, it's not believable, but that this guy is talking about the Big Show, talking about Jack and the Beanstalk like he's a little dude, talking about, being like Stone Cold when it wasn't the biggest guy, but you knew if the Authority tried to fuck with Stone Cold was gonna fuck them up. You expect the same from Roman Reigns.
You would, yeah, because you look at Roman Reigns, and like you say, he's a tall guy. He's got the physique, right?
Yeah,
he's got the all around. He's got the look, and like, even talking about the Roman and the Beanstalk promo, while the substance of it was god awful, you got to remember, he's given this stuff. It's not him making it up. So what I look for when I look at some of these promos is, like, for this one, for an example, is I will watch it and go, okay, what he was given, he did good with what he was given. You know what I mean? Like, I watch his mannerisms and his facial expressions, and I'm like, you know what? If I put it on mute and I watched the promo, I would tell you it was probably a pretty decent promo. But then you listen to it and you go, who wrote this shit? Like,
and that's the case with a lot of his stuff, because I think we'll get more into it when we get to 2017, because I've always strongly believed that the coolest thing, and that's the thing that Roman has that people won't admit, he does have this cool factor, and he had that when he was in the Shield. Don't get me wrong. All three of them had it. Dean had it too with his slick back hair, and Seth had it too with his raspy voice and flying all over the place. They were all cool in their own way. when everyone else separated and kind of kept like Dean kind of kept his cool. Seth, even as a bad guy, kept his cool. As like his slimy, being a pansy, like that worked for him. Like he still kept his cool. Roman lost. Roman started talking too much. Roman started cutting longer promos. Like the quiet badass that didn't say so much was the best Roman, and we got a lot of that in 2017. I fully blocked out the whole Big Show rivalry, so I can't really elaborate more on it. Like I don't remember it. Like we read about it when we were doing our research before this. I don't remember it, but I think the next biggest thing that happened was Roman got hurt in 2015.
Right.
In September. He did return in December, but then he ended up winning Superstar of the Year in December, which I think for a lot of people, they were looking around and they're like, well, I don't know who was. I think Daniel Bryan was huge in 2015. What WrestleMania was 2015?
2015 was
WrestleMania
31.
Oh, we're talking about 2014. Okay, my bad. I apologize. We're still in 2014 because the Shield broke up in 2014. We jumped a year. 2014 was Daniel Bryan's year.
Right.
Hands down. No questions asked. WrestleMania 30, he won the big one. He got injured. He left. And if it wasn't Daniel Bryan, like Brock came back and he killed it. Cena did some stuff. Randy Orton had a hell of a beginning of the year. Like there's so many guys that from January to December, you'd be like, might have been Superstar of the Year. The Shield as a group, you could probably say were the Superstars of the Year. But then Roman won the award, and everyone's kind of like, well, what did Roman do as a single star since the Shield broke up? He had one good match with Randy Orton. That's all Roman. I remember feeling that. I'm like, the only thing he did in 2014 as a single superstar was having one good match with Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I'm like, he didn't do it. The whole Big Show thing, totally blocked it out. Don't remember it. That was it. Like, he might have had a bunch of good single matches early in the year while he's still with the Shield, but as a solo superstar, he had one good match, and he won Superstar in the end. That's when, for me personally, I'm like, oh, like that. And this is another thing, and that people always kind of forget, that I think really fucking hurt Roman Reigns, really kind of made the fans go, oh, fuck this guy, he is the chosen one. And you might have even forgot about this. I don't think you can find. I think you can probably find it on YouTube. It's not on his his archives anymore. But Colt Cabana's podcast with CM Punk,
right?
Was CM Punk kept elaborating that, and he wasn't even. He has nothing against Roman Reigns. He wasn't even trying to shit talk about Reigns, but he kept elaborating on the fact that anytime he worked with them, he kept getting told by the producers and stuff, "Make Roman look strong. Make Roman look strong."
Yeah, I remember that.
And that became such a big thing out of that podcast because everybody listened to that podcast because that was the first podcast Punk did, the first time he spoke out since walking out in February or January after the Royal Rumble. And he kept mentioning how the producers and the people backstage kept saying to him, make Roman look strong, make Roman look strong. And for the hardcore marks such as myself who, I will, and I've admitted this a bunch of times, CM Punk got me back into wrestling in 2011. I was a huge Punk fan. I heard that shit and I'm like, oh my God. Punk was never going to be the top guy. Daniel Bryan was never going to be the top guy. They wanted Roman to be the top guy. And I feel like that was a big factor that people forget about that turned people on Roman. So then when he won the Slammy Award for Superstar of the Year after having one good match as a solo star with Randy Orton at SummerSlam, which was a good match, not a great match, not the best match ever, not in my top 500. It was a good match. And then he won Superstar. That's when I think it clicked in everyone's head like, oh, we don't matter. They're just gonna push Roman no matter what.
Yeah, and that's where you go. Well, that it sucks for Roman himself because I mean he's just there to do the job or do a job, not the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when people and WWE just keeps pushing him and pushing him, and it's not even, to me, it's not even the same kind of push as what John Cena got when everybody started hating him in like 05, 06. Because you got to remember, like, he had that insane feud with Edge where they had good match after good match after good match. You can't really, as much as I want to, I don't dislike Roman, kind of like you. I don't dislike Roman, but I don't like Roman. I lean more towards the side of wanting to like him. Because he's one of the main guys in WWE. I love the WWE, so by default, I gotta kind of skew myself to be like, okay, you know what? He's not that bad. He does what he. But when you look at like I can't compare him really to anybody's push because, like I said, when they say okay, they're trying to build him like the new school Cena to take over, right?
Yeah.
But no, not really, because Cena actually is a really strong worker, and most people hate John Cena, but John Cena has got to be in the top 10 of all time promos for WWE.
And there's also been times with Cena, and this is hard for me to say because but that's a big thing too. When Roman won his first big one, like people were already against him when Roman got his first WrestleMania main event,
Yep.
and in 2015, if we're moving forward now, like he won the Royal Rumble after he came back after the Slammies and stuff, and everyone was already booing him. Everyone was against the fact of him winning the Rumble. Hell, they even brought The Rock back to help him win the Royal Rumble, and he was still getting booed. You could see The Rock's face when he raised Roman's hand and he heard the boos. He was confused, like why are they booing him? Like you guys loved him just a year ago. The difference between Roman and Cena, if we want to compare the pushes, is that when Cena went to WrestleMania 21, whether you really cared for his rapper gimmick or not, you were behind Cena. You didn't like JBL. You were sick of it, and everyone was like, I got excited. I will admit, like I was excited when Cena first won the belt to WrestleMania 21. I was on the bandwagon.
Right.
I only got bored of Cena roughly around like 2007ish. I liked him 2006. I loved the whole shit with Edge. I liked him coming to Raw. It was cool.
Yeah.
It just when he kept winning and winning and winning and winning and winning
Beating
and winning
all the time.
yeah, like beating guys that you just actually want to see beat him. You're like, oh man, they think this guy's Hulk Hogan. And I personally, there's some Cena's recently. There's some promos he does are really good. There was a point where I really didn't like him because they were just way too cheesy, way too whatever. But this is the thing I can say about Cena. And correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong here. I don't remember every single detail, and someone will probably call us out for it. Like when I was live streaming, I said Miz was never a babyface, and so many people called me out on it. He was a babyface for 2 minutes in 2012. Like that's fucking great. But like I don't remember. Like I was at WrestleMania 32 when Roman first faced Triple H and he beat him for the title. I watched that Royal Rumble in 2015. I watched all the Roman's big moments. When Cena had big moments, there was still a strong portion of the crowd that was cheering for him. There was the boos, but there was like that whole "Let's go Cena" or "Cena sucks" chant is literally what it is. Like there is a huge chunk that is saying "Let's go Cena," and there is a huge chunk that is saying "Cena sucks." With Roman, as much as they want to pretend that that's there, I just hear the guy getting booed. Like that's all I hear.
Right. No, you're right. I think and touch real quick on the Cena thing. I think the "Let's go Cena sucks" thing is. It's more like the Kurt Angle "you suck" chant. You know what I mean? So when you're like, okay, so yeah, John Cena is sitting there getting booed, but they're booing him. I feel like almost kind of out of respect, right? Where you watch Roman Reigns and they're just booing Roman Reigns for various different reasons. So when you have a guy like when I compare Roman's push to John Cena's push, you go, okay, well, Cena had, and this could be something that really hurt Roman Reigns. Cena had very strong heels to work against in the main event scene. Roman Reigns, I mean, he had Seth Rollins, who was new, right? Seth Rollins wasn't hugely established. He had Bray Wyatt, who wasn't established. He had Big Show, who was over the hill. So then what do they have to do? Royal Rumble comes around, and they got to have Triple H win and take the title because, okay, holy shit, now Roman Reigns has a heel to work with. So maybe after watching and reading more into it, you go, okay, so Roman Reigns was pushed to the moon, but he didn't really have any competition because everybody else was just getting in that spot too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was I think the Roman problem was that he was pushed at a time, and this is a theory a lot of people go to. I hear it all the time. I thought it myself. I strongly agree with it. When Roman started to get booed, if it was back in the day, they would have been like, he's getting booed. Let's just turn him heel until the fans are. Because I think Roman is the type of guy that if they did turn him into a bad guy, he's the type of guy the fans would get behind at some point. Because it's the Stone Cold kind of The Rock for sure. Randy Orton effect in a sense. Well, like every time Randy Orton gets stale, you turn him to a heel, and he's such a good heel that forcibly he has to turn babyface again. That's literally been every Randy Orton heel run he's had. He's such a good heel that the fans show him that he has to turn babyface, and he becomes a super stale babyface. I'll admit it. I'm a huge Orton fan, but he always becomes stale as a babyface. Yeah. But he's such a good heel, and I think if they just embraced Roman being a bad guy for a bit when the fans are booing him, let him embrace the fact that the fans are booing him, and then my perfect analogy was, I think it was Survivor Series 2015. And Seth got hurt, and this was when Roman was like, okay, so obviously Roman on the Rumble, he went to WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar, and it was a big deal. This is the first time Roman was headlining WrestleMania. This was literally a year after the Shield broke up, not even a year since the Shield broke up, and Roman's in the main event at WrestleMania. He's facing Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's been dominant, Suplex City, all that stuff. Killed Cena at SummerSlam, just demolishing people, just like he is today still. And a lot of people were disappointed in the main event. The build-up was horrible. It ended with that tug-of-war, the go-home show on Raw between Brock and Roman, which was just bad. And the fans weren't going into it because, Brock started wrestling that very basic suplex Oni match, and Roman, just the fans were turning on Roman. And this was fresh when the fans were turning on. Like, they just started turning on that December, January, February, and I remember not being so turned. I personally, I was like, man, why is that the main event? Like, I don't care. But then Rollins came out and he cashed in, and it was huge. And that WrestleMania overall had to have one of the worst build-ups, but ended up being a really good WrestleMania, and that was a cherry on top. And Roman didn't get the moment. And I think that's something that people really need to focus on, is that they always focus on the times Roman does win. And once again, Roman doesn't make the final decisions. There's been so many times where Roman got the carpet pulled from under him and given to someone else, whether it was Rollins, whether it was Ambrose, every time he's won the big one, Sheamus to cash in on him and stuff. So, because they think maybe that's a way they can get the fans to be like, oh, every time Roman gets close, something happens. But it's like, we know they're playing us.
Right. Yeah, no, we do. It's like I said, for me as somebody that really wants to like Roman Reigns, it's hard because you can watch and go, okay, yeah, so the build up to the main event at WrestleMania 31 was really bad, like you said. It was,
yeah.
It's got to be one of the worst builds I've seen for a main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah. No, for sure. If you go back to the ones of Warrior and Hogan and Savage and Hogan and Austin Rock and Shawn and Brett, like that, like even in later years, even the build up for Triple H versus John Cena, the build up for Undertaker versus Edge, they were also good. And then you go to Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and the build, even Daniel Bryan the year before was such a good story.
Oh yeah,
and then you have this one, and you're like, well, they're basically booking this, and that's the same feeling we had this year, and they tricked us again. But that feeling of, oh, this is them just trying to give Roman the crowning moment,
right? Which I guess what that aspect of him not winning was kind of cool, because that's when people were starting to get used to, and I think that's where the start of, okay, we know that Roman Reigns is going to be your guy, we get it, but for me, my problem is after he loses the main event at WrestleMania, they throw him right back into a feud with the freaking Big Show. And why?
I think I blocked out all these Big Show feuds because I don't remember this one either.
I don't understand why they keep throwing him in with the Big Show, because the Big Show hasn't been over since he wasn't even over when he was ECW champion, man. I love the Big Show. But the Big Show was good from 1996 in WCW through 2002 in the WWE.
Yeah.
And after that, he's had injuries and other things have happened kind of out of his control. But outside of that, that's it. The only memorable moment the Big Show has had since 2002 is in Orlando when Brock Lesnar suplexed him off the top rope and the ring collapsed for the very first time.
I think he's had some moments. Don't get me wrong. I just Big Show. This is another Big Show podcast. We can go into the fact that Big Show's been turned babyface and heel 10 million thousand times from 2002 to now is one of the reasons why it's so hard to take him seriously for anything. Plus, he's just not entertaining. Like I don't ever sit there and be like, I can't wait for this Big Show match. No offense to Big Show, he's fucking great, dude. He's the Big Show, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I totally once again I blocked it out. I forgot that he feuded with Big Show again after. Because of course Brock left, and then Seth I think moved on to I don't even know who Seth started feuding with after that, but yeah, Big Show and Roman, which eventually led to Roman versus Bray, which at the time I thought was a very, very smart move because they started building the whole anyone but you.
Right.
It's like they started to capitalize on the fact that what the fans felt. They let Bray be the voice of the fans, being like, oh, because anytime Roman got a chance, Bray would stop him. Anytime Roman was in a fatal four-way to become the number one contender or something, Bray would stop him. Money in the Bank, Bray would stop him. And I was like, oh, so they're trying to get Bray over. Which is so, like, this is why I mean the creative is so fucking weird because what all that did was, are you trying to get Bray over because he keeps stopping Reigns? Because we don't like Reigns. Who's supposed to be the good guy and bad guy? Are we supposed to be booing Bray because he's stopping Reigns from winning the belt? Because that's not how the fans feel. The fans were happy every time Bray did it. Bray ended up becoming the good guy, and Reigns was still playing the good guy. So it's like that's where it's like just turn the guy heel.
Yeah, it's true. Well, so I'm friends with a lot of their bloodline on Facebook, right? A lot of the NOI bloodline. And his dad posts on Facebook almost if anybody's friends with his dad on Facebook, it's at least once a week. We are heels. All Samoans are natural born heels. The Rock was a babyface because he was such a good heel. Yeah. Look at every Samoan. From Haku to Barbarian to the Head Shrinkers to Rikishi. Rikishi got over just because they put him in a thong as a babyface. Yeah. And he was just fun, and he was perfect for the time, so that's not a knock on Rikishi at all. But every single Samoan has always been a heel, so why try to break the norm and keep Roman as a babyface? That to me that's what I struggle with every time I see Roman Reigns on TV.
Yeah, and it's like he has a look. Like I think he has a look. I think he's fun to watch. He's exciting, and when he talks less and he's more of a dick, because you look at the guy and you're like, if he was a dick, I wouldn't like him, and you just think he's a dick. You know, all the women love him, the kids love him, and guys are like, fuck this guy. That's that's the perfect heel, dude. Like that's like it's so easy to hate someone like that. That's why it's easy to hate someone like Randy Orton when he's a bad guy. That's why it's easy to hate someone like I'm trying to think of like anyone else that's like, you know, like the ultimate pretty boy as a bad guy. Just it makes sense. And The Rock, it was easy. He was so he was conceited. He's The Rock. He talked about himself in third person. The Rock says this. The Rock says that. He was so obsessed with himself. Roman, if you look at him every week, you would think the guy's obsessed with himself. In recent years, he's been booking himself in his own matches, saying he should be in the title match, this and that. I want the Undertaker. and he gets it. And we'll get closer to the newer years. But I think the Bray feud was really weird. It was great. Bray was fighting for the people, even though Bray was supposed to be the bad guy and Roman was the good guy. For kids, it probably looked that way, but for anyone that's older than the age of 12 and a wrestling fan was like, man, yeah, anybody but you, Roman, anybody but you. And fun fact, that's when Braun Strowman made his debut. Mm-hmm. And when Braun Strowman made his debut, that's when they did the story of Roman Reigns' career, and that happened last year too. Anytime that they think that Roman's really getting a lot of heat and Roman can't get over, let's put him back with one of his comrades from the Shield. In 2015, it was Dean Ambrose. They put them back together. Hey, you guys gonna team? You guys gonna link up? And they even had a special partner one time, which was Chris Jericho, and they fought. They fought Harper, Wyatt, and Strowman, and he was with Ambrose, and that was short-lived. But it was that little, okay, well, if he's with Ambrose, then it's verified that he's the good guy because Ambrose is the good guy, and Bray guys are the bad guys, and yeah, give him the rub, and people don't look at it that way, but that's the way I always saw it. They did it with the Usos when he was feuding with AJ. They did it in 2017 when they put the Shield back together when he was feuding with the Miz guys. It's like, how can we make Roman cool again? Oh, put him with the good guys again. Put him with the guys that the fans actually chose, because the fans actually chose Seth Rollins. They love Seth Rollins. The fans actually really like Dean Ambrose.
Right? Yeah. They're like, well, maybe he'll be cheered by association. He'll be okay. Like, yeah, who is thinking? Whose thought process is that? Like, at the creative table where they're like, well, it didn't work with The Rock, but maybe if we put him with Ambrose and Chris Jericho on an episode of Raw, maybe they'll cheer Roman Reigns because it didn't work with The Rock. So maybe these two guys that are good and popular, but not as popular as The Rock, maybe the crowd will be okay with them then.
Yeah, I don't know. And then eventually, of course, Roman got back into the title picture. And he was set to face his old buddy Seth Rollins, which is something I was surprised they waited so long to get to, was Seth Rollins and Roman. And it was supposed to be Survivor Series. Of course, on my birthday, November 4th of 2015. We found out last week that November 4th is a very special day in the world of wrestling and my life. And Seth got hurt. He busted his knee in a match with Kane. And they ended up doing the whole tournament thing at Survivor Series where they were going to crown a new champion through this tournament that took place through Raw up to Survivor Series. Now, the biggest thing for me about this tournament, and this is where I was trying to get to like 10 minutes ago, is I felt like going into this tournament from Survivor Series, and this is where we get into a little bit of the armchair quarterbacking, fantasy booking of what I would have done. Roman was getting booed since the beginning in January. This is 2015 now. It's 2018. So this is years ago. They could have fixed this problem years ago, in my opinion. And I said this back then. You can search my hashtags, look at my Roman Reigns. I said this exact same theory. I laid it out on my page, and so many people agreed with me. A lot of people were like, F you, whatever. But I said, okay, obviously I know that he's the guy. He's the guy they want to be the guy. I already was reading the rumors that Roman Reigns is going to be headlining 3 WrestleManias in a row. I'm like, okay, so he didn't get his crowning moment this year, 2015. 2016 in Dallas, they're going to make it Roman Reigns' moment. I'm like, okay, Rollins is your top heel. He was your top bad guy for the entire 2000. You guys built this guy to be like the number one douchebag, slimy bad guy, which I loved. He killed it as a heel. I still miss him as a heel. He's doing great as a babyface right now. But Seth Rollins as a heel is the best, and he got hurt, right? So it's like now we don't technically have a top heel. I know Sheamus had the Money in the Bank and this and that. I get that, but we don't really have a top heel. I think Sheamus could have held on to the Money in the Bank for a bit because realistically, he was just a transitional champion for Roman to get over. That's all Sheamus ended up being during that period. So let's just rule that out for a second. I think the coolest or the most coolest way they could have went through that was have Roman win at Survivor Series still, but as a heel, because the final two ended up being Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Right. Imagine Reigns just went full F Dean Ambrose. They just briefly got back together to work against the Wyatt family. Imagine Roman's like, oh, the fans boo me, this and that. I tried to be the good guy, but you guys don't respect me. He just embraced it and turned and made Ambrose the bad guy, And then they had a brief feud with Ambrose and Reigns up until December, November, December. January, you could do that whole situation where maybe Ambrose is a champ. He beats Reigns. He beat Reigns for the title in December, and now Ambrose is a big babyface champ. And then he gets screwed by Triple H, and Triple H becomes a champion, and that turns Reigns babyface again. Short period of time, but at least you'd give people that ability to be like, yeah, boo him, and then cheer him now because now he's backing his boy up again because the Authority, and then you could have went to WrestleMania 32 with Triple H and Roman Reigns. It would have felt a little bit more organic. There was a lot that I liked that did happen. I remember really liking the involvement of Vince McMahon in reality. I remember liking the whole idea of Roman's winning the belt on Raw and doing the Superman punch on Vince. Like, I thought there was a lot of things that were good about that angle, but it just wasn't going to work because you knew it was heading to Roman Reigns winning the belt back again at WrestleMania 32 as a babyface. I think that Survivor Series period would have been the best time to turn him heel. Have him be heel up until like February. Have him like be homies with Triple H, and then just like he did with Vince on one of those Raws, when there's an opportunity, he takes Triple H out because he says, "Oh, I want the belt," and he turns to a good guy, and the fans are like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" And then you do it in such a short period of time. You didn't need a long period of time. You could have had the fans hate Triple H so much that when Roman's like, "No, I want the belt from you," they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're actually kind of down with this now."
Yeah, because you got to remember, Triple H was a heel when he won the belt.
Yeah,
but he was still cheered.
And I still think he would have had so much more heel heat if Dean won it, and then Triple H just like took it from him.
Yeah,
and then people would be like, "What the hell?" That sucks. And Dean's our guy. There might have been backlash, and people might have wanted Dean to face Triple H at WrestleMania. That might have been the case that would have happened. And if it was Roman, then people would have probably still got pissed. But I just think to give then you can say that they did not try to do the whole Roman heel experiment. You know.
Right. Yeah, no, they definitely could have done that back in the time. What they tried to do in January, February, leading up into WrestleMania, I didn't think was terrible. Like you said, involving Vince McMahon, having Stephanie try to slap Roman.
Oh, yeah, they pulled out all the stops.
You know, they did some really good stuff, but perhaps it was too little too late.
I agree. And it was just... Yeah,
he was already lost. He was already lost with the fans.
And they didn't do any. And the reason why I'm like, they shouldn't. And people are like, why would you use a short heel turn like that? It's because I just thought they didn't do anything to try to redeem his spot with the fans. They just carried on with what they were doing anyways. And I think when you do that, like you ignore the fans, that just piss them off even more. Once again, I said 2016. I was in the AT&T Stadium amongst 100,000 fans. People were booing the living shit out of Roman Reigns. If people were cheering for him, you couldn't hear them. You couldn't. And I'm sure there was people cheering for him. I swear, being there live, I could not hear the cheers. I could only hear the boos. And that's saying a lot. And I think and it's saying that they could have tried to do something different with him in that time period. The moment Seth got hurt, moving forward, they could have done something. Like, he should have been pissed that he had to wrestle through a tournament when he already won a title shot. He should have been pissed that, like, oh, Ambrose has a chance now, and at the end, Ambrose is actually they should have made him get sour. Like, I should be champion now. Like, I won the title shot. Seth got hurt. That's not fair. Now I'm in a tournament. Have it get there with Ambrose. Get him super aggressive for the Ambrose. Have him win the belt. Or. Even better, I wouldn't even have had Roman win that Survivor Series. I would have had Ambrose win and Roman just be pissed.
Right. I mean, that's the easiest solution right there. Roman's pissed, he turns heel, beats up his buddy Ambrose. I mean, that's worked so many times in the past.
Yeah.
On other guys. I mean,
and if people think that's too short of a time of a heel turn, they did that so much in the Attitude Era with some characters where they were heels for a couple of months, and next thing you know, Mick Foley was a guy that was heel and babyface, switched so many times. Like in 1998, he was a heel. He was a babyface as Cactus Jack, turned heel as Dude Love, and then a couple of months later, he was a babyface again as Mankind. It's not that hard.
Hell, Ahmed Johnson joined the Nation of Domination for 1 week.
The Rock was only really heel from November to like April of 1998 to 1999.
That's true. Yeah, right after No Way Out of Texas is when he started.
That's how long his. Well, I mean, he was heel obviously with the Nation, but I mean, like that one with the Authority that he had when he won the belt of the Survivor Series, that major heavyweight championship heel guy was literally just 98 to 99.
You're right, 100% right.
I think when did he join the Nation? 98?
No, 97.
Okay. Late 97, yeah.
Yeah, it was right around it's on our Instagram page, guys. If you guys want to check that out at any point in time. We'd like to have you guys back, by the way.
Yeah, guys, check out the TNA show Instagram page, follow up. Next week we're talking about the NWO, so you guys will enjoy. There'll be a lot of NWO clips. But yeah, so then WrestleMania Oh yeah, well I think it was a cool idea. I did like the concept of the title being on the line at Royal Rumble. I did pop when Triple H came out as number 30 and won the belt. I think I got really like, but the fact that we didn't like Roman so much that when Roman got eliminated and we got excited, knowing that regardless there was going to be a new
It didn't
champion, that was
matter,
cool.
right?
And they still
Yeah,
played with the heartstrings with Dean because the final two were Dean and Triple H.
right. Well,
And
so man, for
yeah,
the match at WrestleMania 32, I think part of the reason why you got to remember this was the very first time WWE did a 6 or 7 hour show.
yeah,
This was their first time, and you're like, okay, guys, like I remember because we were still doing our live after shows
yeah.
back at the time, and it's like 12:30 in the morning, and I'm like, what the fuck? I got to go to work in the morning, guys, and I still have to do an hour show. Like, end the show already. And you were getting restless by the end, and it didn't help. That definitely didn't help Roman Reigns' case. What they could have done for me, what I thought would have been cool, is Roman's trying everything to beat Triple H. Triple H is countering, doing whatever. Referee gets knocked out. Roman Reigns starts cheating. Starts using chairs. He beats Triple H up with a chair. He hits him with stairs. He throws him through announce tables. He does whatever he can do because he wants that title. If they didn't want to bother turning him heel at Survivor Series,
Yeah.
just you could have done that for him. You could have had him just say, you know what? Screw this. I want it. I want this belt. This belt's coming with me, come hell or high water. I don't care how it happens. I don't care what I got to do. I'm bringing this belt back.
And that whole rivalry was based on the same whole, and this is what I mean. Like, it would have been cooler if he joined them and then just decided that, like, F it, I want the belt, instead of him trying to, because they tried to play that rivalry of Triple H as Roman was the underdog and Triple H was the authority keeping him down. Nobody believes that. That's like believing that, Stone Cold was really the underdog. We knew Stone Cold wasn't the underdog, but he didn't act like the underdog. He
Right.
acted like he had to work from under, like he had to beat them, but they tried to make us feel sympathetic for Roman Reigns, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I don't understand why we shouldn't feel sympathetic for this guy.
Yeah, and because we never felt sympathetic for Stone Cold, we never felt sympathetic for The Rock. We knew at the end they would have kicked ass, but it was just with Roman, they tried to make you feel like, oh man, like, hey kids, these mean authority people are not letting Roman win the belt. But we're like, yeah, no, like, that's not something. It's 2018. We don't buy that. It's not Daniel Bryan either. He's not a small guy. He's not a guy that we think we feel and we know that you guys want him to be the guy. We can't buy into that.
Right.
We live in you want to call it the reality era, and you want to talk about social media, and you want to ruin surprises by posting them on Instagram and sending us notifications through apps, then you must also realize that we know there's dirt sheets out there, and we know that we've been like, every rumor out there is that, oh, Roman Reigns is the guy, Roman Reigns is the guy. Hell, they even went on a tangent, I don't know what year it was, when Roman Reigns started calling himself the guy.
Yeah.
We all know it, and you're trying to make us believe that he isn't who you want him to be. Like, we're supposed to believe that you guys are holding him down? No, you guys are holding him down just to bring him up. And we're
Right.
not dumb. I think they look at us like we're idiots, and that's where the fans get offended. You've offended your fans.
Yeah.
It's not Roman's fault. It's not Roman's fault. It's not the writer's fault. It's whoever's making those final decisions that have offended your fans. You looked at your fans and said, fuck you. Like,
Basically, yeah. For those when we go live on Twitch, we'll talk about this later on in the show. But Justin just flipped me both birds. It's all good. It wasn't towards me, but it was just in general. But you're 100% right, dude. 100% right. We resent Roman Reigns not because of Roman Reigns, right? We resent Roman Reigns, and I keep saying we because I don't necessarily resent Roman Reigns, but I'm just trying to speak on behalf of those people. We resent
and
Roman
I don't
Reigns.
think we can say everyone, because the moment we say we, everyone's like, well, no, I actually don't like him. I think he can't cut a promo. I think his moves, he can't wrestle. People do feel that way, and there are people that dislike him, and that's totally cool. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I don't like John Cena, and I didn't like John Cena for years. To be honest with you, I still don't really like John Cena. I just think he's gotten better, and I respect him. I'm trying to think of someone that everyone loves that I don't like. I'm not a Jeff Hardy fan whatsoever. That offends people all the time. But I'm just not. It doesn't do anything for me. Don't think he's that great in the ring. Thinks he flies around all over the place. Never been my type. That's how people feel about Roman Reigns, and that's okay. We all don't have to like the same people. Some people genuinely hate Kevin Owens. I fucking love Kevin Owens. Some people don't like Sami Zayn. I like Sami Zayn.
Those are very Homer picks, I believe.
Huh?
I said those are kind of Homer picks, aren't they? Because they're Canadian. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Oh, Canada. It's a natural instinct, man. Canada just comes through me and shit. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but we're gonna go a sidebar here. Name me one Canadian wrestler that was terrible. It's see, there's a long pause because it's hard. If there's one,
That was
you know
super
what
terrible.
but you know what I'm saying,
There obviously is some. I just can't think. There's probably some jobbers out there that, like,
right? But I'm saying as far as like guys that were pushed, right?
Well, no. Lance Storm was a great wrestler. Probably was the greatest character. Benoit was great, even though he fucked up shit.
Jericho.
Edge and Christian was
Yeah.
great. Brett Owen, great. John Tenta, like, he was a big guy, but man, the Earthquake was pretty cool. I don't know. That's a good question.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, Sammy and Owens. That's right, that works. Yeah, Sammy and Owens are great. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of Canadians on the roster. I'm trying to think of them. Tyler Breeze is good when they let him go.
Yeah. I don't know. It's for me, it's very strange how like you'll watch a match with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, and they go, "Man, we don't know who's gonna win it." No, why would you say that? You should know who's gonna win this match. Don't hype it up like Sami Zayn is gonna beat Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Roman Reigns should mop the floor with smaller guys. Storyline wise, they can have a good match, but you don't build it like they're equals. Like you gotta give the guy, if you build the guy like John Cena, that's why people turn on Cena. Cena was always billed as the underdog. Why? Why are these guys billed as underdogs when they're always on top?
We know they're gonna win. There's like a trend that they win. They always. It's like, oh, Cena overcomes the odds again. Like that wasn't expected, and that's why honestly, like maybe it was a really big deal, and maybe I kind of grew some tolerance to John Cena when he started putting guys over like Punk and Bryan, and when he got demolished by Brock Lesnar. I'm like, oh, finally Cena's giving back.
Right? Yeah. It's true. It's so hard with Roman Reigns for me. It really because.
And then they didn't do themselves any favors because following WrestleMania 32, they plugged Roman Reigns with another guy that the fans loved, AJ Styles.
Yep.
Like why? And then they put the club with Styles, and the Bullet Club, and the club, and all that whole situation is so over and so popular till this day. It's still going on. It's still that popular with the Elite and everything. Hell, All In just sold out in less than half an hour or something. Like that brand and that whole for the hardcore wrestling fan, like that whole situation is so badass that when AJ Styles is paired with Gallows and Anderson in the WWE, the fans were with it, dude. Like they were fully on board. And then you put your biggest baby face against them, and you turn those guys heels, and it's the whole Bray Wyatt Roman Reigns weird chemistry that you guys did again, where technically the fans, the hardcore fans, I can't speak for the casual fans, I can only speak from a hardcore fan perspective, are cheering for the guys that's supposed to boo, and the guy that's supposed to cheer just comes off as being the heel.
Right.
That's when he started doing the guy thing. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the guy. Like that was gonna save his ass, but
yeah. Do you realize that at the end of Roman Reigns' title reign, Raw had the lowest rating that it had since the week before Bret Hart snapped?
And I'm not surprised.
That's crazy, dude. That's a long time.
And they thought putting Roman with the Usos, and addressing the fact that he's this big Samoan guy, which they really didn't do much for a bit, and addressing that, we put him with his cousins, the Usos, and they're gonna fight the club, and it's supposed to be this really cool thing. But I absolutely positively adore the Usos. They've always had really entertaining matches, but at that time, their gimmick with the whole being neon face painted was stale.
Playing to paint, yeah, it was. They were getting booed too.
Yeah, it was stale. I think once the draft happened, the Usos reinvented themselves with this acting in their own personal, elaborate, exaggerated versions of themselves. That's what they're like now. That's when they kind of came back to relevancy. personally. But
Yeah.
at that point, they were stale too. And you put them with Roman. And I understand that sometimes, and I've heard this so many times on podcasts, that Vince McMahon might just live in a bubble and doesn't watch anything outside of the WWE and know what's going on. But he actually thinks like, oh, the Usos and Roman are huge. What is this club thing everyone's talking about? Like,
God damn it, pal! What's this club?
why are these guys even? They're friends from outside of here, like,
Right.
like
Well, so obviously after that happens, and you have the Money in the Bank match with Seth Rollins, right? But that was the first time Roman Reigns had a clean loss in his entire career in WWE,
yeah.
which is dumb.
Was it the first time he had a clean loss?
It was his first clean loss that didn't end in interference or DQ or anything.
That's so insane. Well, actually, no, I guess you can kind of credit. Well, no, that was the Money in the Bank cash in both of them.
Yeah.
To Sheamus and to Rollins.
Because you didn't build the guy like he was Bill Goldberg, right? You didn't build him that way. So why are we going from his debut through halfway through 2016 for this guy to get his first clean loss?
Because you gotta make Roman look strong. We all heard about it on the CM Punk Pipe Bomb podcast with Colt Cabana. Right. And they continued to make the guy look strong. And his first loss was to his buddy. And it was only to build the opportunity for what happened the next month was when they had Seth and Reigns, and like you said, Seth beat Reigns, and then Dean cashed in, and they went. And it's once again going to the well, you know, because like I said, anytime Roman seems to be really buried under this whole the fans don't like him, how can we put him back together with when the last time he was popular, which was when he was a part of the Shield? Put him with Dean. Okay, cool. Okay, well, let's put him in a feud with Dean and Seth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then maybe the fans will, you know, they will. And like what happened? They had Seth come back, and once again, the fans were so against Roman when he was feuding with AJ Styles. And if they knew the draft was coming around the corner, Roman got suspended. Seth came back, and Seth came back to like a babyface pop. People were happy to see Seth back. Dean was obviously still a babyface. Why wouldn't you turn Roman heel then? Like, he got screwed. He's won the belts finally at WrestleMania, and he's doing his thing, and then Seth came back and, you know, automatically gets his title shot and beats him. And then, like, you know, Roman should be pissed. Instead, he's still the ultimate good guy, and Seth turned heel again. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
And I understand that with Seth turning heel, maybe it had to lead to, like, they had to build up to what they wanted to do at WrestleMania 32 originally, which was, I think, Seth versus Triple H. So that was originally where they were heading anyways. But they had to postpone it because of Seth's injury. So maybe it's like, okay, we need Seth to be heel so we can properly break up with Triple H. Maybe that was the case, but I still think it's a perfect moment for Roman to turn heel. Like, it was just, why are we feeding the fact that, like, we're just going to keep this guy a good guy because he's selling merchandise, because little kids love him? Like, I'm pretty sure little kids loved Hogan when, you know, he turned heel. I'm pretty sure little kids loved Austin when he turned heel in 2001. I'm pretty sure when the adults were booing The Rock in 97, little kids probably liked The Rock. I don't know. Like,
yeah, little kids are sitting in the crowd like, what do you mean, die, Rocky, die?
Yeah, like, you know, it's just, like, sometimes creatively you need to make I feel like sometimes they focus too much on the, well, you know, he gets cheered at house shows. Like, that's fucking great. On TV, he's getting booed. What do you think people are watching? The house shows or TV?
Mm-hmm. Well,
what do you think?
Yeah, well, sorry, I didn't. I'm very passionate with this thought here. So, you take somebody like Hulk Hogan, let's say, right? Biggest babyface from what, 84 through 1996, biggest babyface in the building, and then he turns heel, which we're going to talk about in great depth next week, guys. But he turns heel, and you go, holy shit, this worked, and this worked big. Austin turns heel, and it works. The Rock turned heel, it works. If it doesn't work, guess what? You treat wrestling fans like we have short, terrible memories and attention spans as it is anyway. If you turn Roman Reigns heel and it doesn't work, you can turn him back in the blink of an eye and nobody's gonna care because it didn't work anyway.
Yeah, I know, and I agree, man. It just, I don't know why. Because I'm just thinking, and I still go back to this concept, and people are like, no, it's too late now. The ship is. I'm like, and it might have now. It actually might have. The ship might have actually sailed on it. But I just think like they had so many times where like just turn the guy heel briefly. It's not something you guys have to stick to forever. And once again, he would be such a. I think could be such a cool heel that the fans are gonna want to cheer him again. It's just it's all about the way you book them. It's all about how you present them on television. It's how you develop their characters. Something that I think is just a big lost art in the WWE just generally. They're really bad at creating that connection. They know what they want, and then that's what they stick with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So moving forward, he doesn't win the title back. Dean continues with the belt. He doesn't even really continue feuding with Seth. He moves forward to feuding with, I believe, the Universal title came out, so Seth went to fight like Finn Balor. Finn Balor got hurt, and then Owens got shoved in. Then Reigns was involved in that fatal four way. Reigns, Rollins, Seth, and Reigns, Rollins, Owens, and Cass. The brand extension happened. He didn't. I don't think did he. He didn't get the Universal title shot in that period. After that, I don't think.
No, he went right into
Rusev. The United States Championship.
Yeah,
and another thing, I'm not going to say it was a bad feud or anything. It didn't really do anything for Rusev at all. Reigns overcame everything. That's where he cut some really bad promos. The problem with Reigns' promos is, once again, like I said, I enjoy Reigns as a badass that says a few things. Can crack jokes every once in a while, but he was trying to be too funny, trying to crack too many jokes, trying to be too
much like The Rock.
Don't be a funny guy. That's not who your character is. Don't ruin the Roman Reigns. Or the coolest thing about Roman Reigns in the Shield is that he was the muscle that didn't talk that much. Mm-hmm. Or when he did talk, it was just I'm gonna kick your ass. And then we're gonna get back to that. So, anyways, fought Rusev in that end half for the United States, in the middle half of 2016 for the United States Championship. Really forgettable stuff, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Lost the title to Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho in a handicap match. We both chuckled about earlier because that just seems ridiculous. But Owens and Jericho was so entertaining that the fact that they're involved with it seems a little bit less ridiculous, but it's still kind of ridiculous.
Right.
So that was that. This led to Owens and Reigns fighting each other for the Universal title. So then Reigns did get eventually put back in the Universal title picture with Owens, and that's when we got what I think. And then when I talk about 2017, and this is where I'll agree with you guys. 2015, 2016, I was on the whole, man, like they keep pushing Reigns. And then 2015, I'm like, man, I know what they're doing. They're trying to push Reigns as the main guy. 2016, I'm like, okay, he's not that bad. Mostly the end half of 2016, he's not that bad, but they're just booking him poorly.
Right.
And by 2017, I felt like they kind of got the booking properly again. He stopped cracking jokes. He stopped saying cheesy catchlines like I'm the guy. He stopped talking so much. His main motivation was just to win the championship and be a badass. I feel like in 2017 they went more towards that. One of the best things that happened to him was Braun Strowman.
It was. Braun
Strowman in January came back in his life, attacking him, and it became, obviously they stalled it for a little bit when they wanted Reigns with Undertaker. I think beating the Undertaker was a big deal for him. It wasn't the greatest match, and that's not on either one of them. It just Taker wasn't.
He's old, man.
Shouldn't have been there.
No, and it's sad. It's sad watching Undertaker. It really
is.
Because
the last couple of times weren't so bad. The Greatest Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, but they were short and straight to the point. That one was supposed to be like a match, I think.
Right. Yeah. That was. I think that was like a good 15-minute match, but
yeah.
It was just so. Think about something like this, right? Because we all know what happens the night after WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
Where the crowd is chanting like "fuck you, Roman," like we hope you die. Like they're chanting the craziest stuff to him. But just think like this guy's got to have some thick skin, right? It's got to be a great accolade and a great feeling, because you know that when you're in a match with Taker at this point, Taker gives you the nod if you're going to win or not. It's not Vince McMahon. It's Taker going, you know what? I'm going to let this guy win. That's the way that I feel. That's the way that I've always perceived it, is ever since the streak ended. Like, that was Taker's call. I want Lesnar to end the streak. But so I look at it and go, okay, so Undertaker felt that Roman Reigns needs to beat me to get over. Like, that's the way that I felt. Like, Undertaker didn't need to really come back, right?
He didn't need to have that second loss. He didn't need to have the second. He didn't have to have that moment. They built it up with the whole, like, that was another, like, 2017, if anything, and you're like, whoa, they've been trying to do this since 2014, you guys have been saying. 2017, they tried to pass multiple torches to Roman Reigns. Whether it was earlier in the year with him beating Taker, whether it was later in the year with him finally beating John Cena and having that big John Cena feud that he had.
Right.
It was, okay, this is a year we were, and like, this kind of makes sense. If they did this in 2015 rather than automatically plugging him on the main event against Brock Lesnar, maybe it would have been a little bit different. But they automatically put him in the world title shot with Brock Lesnar having him in the Royal Rumble 2015. They rushed all that. Now we're slowly building Roman Reigns. Hey, you want to know something completely, absolutely, positively insane? Roman Reigns has not been the WWE champion since he lost to Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins at that Money in the Bank in 2015. He went the entire 2017 not being that top guy.
You're right.
And that's when he's been the most tolerable. And I said that and I think that's a big part of me, getting very tolerant of John Cena. I was like, once John Cena wasn't the champion all the fucking time, I didn't mind him. Once other guys like Punk and Bryan and other people were carrying the belt and having those opportunities, and you weren't like, oh, Orton has a belt, but he's just going to eventually lose it to Cena. Oh, the Miz is champion, he's just going to eventually lose it to Cena. Once that mentality was gone, I actually started digging Cena when he was in feuds with people that weren't for the world title. I'm like, he's not that bad.
Right. No, you're right. 100% right. I can tolerate him a hell of a lot more now.
Yeah, so all of 2017, Roman hasn't been that guy that's in every title picture, every time, and he's been in title matches. But there's always been a part of me that's like, I actually haven't felt like, oh, they're going to let him win at this point. When he was in that fatal, I'm like, they're not going to have Brock lose yet in that fatal 4-way. With Braun and Joe and Reigns, I didn't see that happening, and I think that's what's made Roman so tolerable this year, is that he hasn't been the Universal Champion or the WWE Champion.
Yeah.
And then what happened? And we tolerated him, and we tolerated the fact that he had a great feud with Strowman. And let's be honest, Strowman's great. Strowman's probably the most entertaining part of Raw for a lot of the period of time, but if it wasn't for his feud with Roman Reigns and everyone hating Roman so much, would Strowman be as over as he is? I don't know. We all marked out for Strowman when he attacked Reigns the night after WrestleMania and flipped his ambulance.
Yes, we did.
We're like, yeah, because we automatically thought Reigns was jumping after the Universal title again. That didn't end up happening.
Yeah. It's sad when a guy you're pushing as a top heel gets over as a baby face because he's attacking the baby face that nobody wants.
Well, that's been the story of Roman's career, whether it's Bray Wyatt, whether it's AJ Styles, whether it's Braun Strowman. Anyone that works with Roman Reigns ends up being more of the baby face than Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
That's the story we've been telling this whole podcast. When it was Bray saying anyone but you, the fans wanted Bray to beat Reigns. When it was Styles with the club against Reigns and the Usos, the fans wanted Styles and the club to beat Roman Reigns. When it was Rollins and Ambrose against Roman Reigns, they wanted the other two Shield guys to win.
Yeah.
When it was Taker versus Roman Reigns, a lot of people didn't want Roman Reigns to beat the Undertaker. They thought it was stupid that Taker would lose twice at WrestleMania. I disagreed with that because I'm like, you know what, the streak's over. Let's all get over it. But fans still were like, no, my Undertaker can't lose twice at WrestleMania. Everybody's a babyface against Roman Reigns.
And it's
then they did the crazy at the end of the year with the Shield reunion, which we'll get to after you make your point.
No, I was going to say it's to the point where people complain about Brock Lesnar as a part-time champion, right? I think that's kind of a universal thing. Yeah. Where you might like Brock Lesnar, you may pop when he's there, but I think it's pretty universal and pretty unanimous that everybody hates that he's there. He's never there, right?
Yeah.
He's part-time. But it gets to the point where you hate Roman Reigns so much that when Brock Lesnar's there, you're like, oh, hell yeah, thank God he's here. I hope he wins. And you go, well, wait, hold on. Let's think about this for a second.
Dude, the fans popped this year at WrestleMania and Brock ended up winning.
Yeah.
And nobody really, and that's the thing, a lot of the fans are angry at Brock never being there. Those same fans are like, yeah, he beat Reigns. Wow, that was shocking.
Yeah.
But then, the next night you're like, oh crap, our champion's still Brock though. It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Anytime they put those two together at this point. But anyways, so then and I don't want to take credit away from what happened after WrestleMania 33. Like that was to him beating Taker was huge. It was a big deal. It was good for him. That's the only I remember back at WrestleMania 31. I'm like, it's so hard for me to believe that Bray Wyatt can call himself the face of fear when he didn't beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania. You can't say you're the new face of fear and not beat the old one. Reigns can't say this is my yard and not beat the Undertaker in his yard. That had to happen, and that's what happened, and it made sense when he stood in the ring for 10 minutes with the fans booing him, yelling "fuck you, Roman," all that stuff. Like, that's power. That's huge. Like, that's still a reaction nobody else was getting the next night at WrestleMania. All he said was, "This is my yard now."
Yeah.
Hello, top heel. No, never mind. Fuck that. Let's not turn him heel. Let's keep him a baby face after we have this
swing and a miss.
Yeah, like what makes you the ultimate bad guy? Beating the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Worked for Brock Lesnar wonderfully. He's still living off it today.
Yeah.
But when Roman Reigns does it, no, he's still a good guy though. He's still a good guy. And then to continue him as a good guy, you put him against Braun, where the fans started liking Braun more than Reigns.
Oh.
Braun is still over. Eventually, and this is another perfect example of a heel that was so good of a heel that he eventually had to turn babyface because the fans were rooting for him. Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
It works for Braun Strowman, but it doesn't work with Roman Reigns. With Roman Reigns, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. What the fuck? Okay. The Miz Taraj starts feuding with The Miz, because if anyone's going to be a heel against you and you're going to make you look like a good guy, it's The Miz, right? Like, who's going to cheer for The Miz? Wrong. Everybody. The fans started liking The Miz more. Have you not noticed The Miz got so much more popular during that period of time to now? Because in that whole period of time when he started feuding with Roman Reigns and he was cutting those promos about how he works so hard and he doesn't get the same blah, 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 the fans were like, yeah, The Miz does.
Yeah. It's true.
Roman helped The Miz turn baby even though he's still a heel.
Yeah. Well, and so I look at, and I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but Roman has been to 2017 and even 2018, which we'll go into depth, once we get there. Roman it seems like his promos have been way more on point.
Yeah.
And from this standpoint, talking about chronologically, like we talk about the WrestleMania 33 after the WrestleMania promo, right? All he does is just say, "This is my yard now." Then he has that huge thing with John Cena, which has to be one of the...
Was Cena called him out for everything we call him out for.
Yeah. But Roman Reigns was still... The promo was good, but Cena was saying everything that we are saying. And, like, you're watching it just like... I almost feel like I'm watching another pipe bomb here. Like...
And Cena, but it's so hard because when it does come to promo, Cena's like way up here and Roman's way down. But we already know that Roman's not the talker. He should never have been the talker.
Right.
That was never a strong suit. They kept making him talk and it made him look bad. One of the things that you hear about from Roman haters is that, he can't even cut a promo. He shouldn't be cutting promos. Batista would talk, but it never sounded so scripted and cheesy. They tried to make Roman sound cheesy. Batista was never cheesy.
Right.
They tried to make Roman Cena. And Cena said it too. You're supposed to be the next me. They want you to replace me. Remember, he'd say that in the promos. Yeah. But they're two totally different people. Roman isn't Cena. They didn't want... He's like, they wanted you to be the Samoan Cena. Like, he's not that.
I feel like because he's related to The Rock, they were like, let's just feed him cheesy lines because they'll be funny. But you're like, no.
Yeah, but The Rock could deliver them in a way, and The Rock looked, let's be honest, man, his sideburns and shit, The Rock had a funny look, man.
He looks the part. Roman Reigns doesn't look like the guy, like The Rock looks like the guy that's going to crack jokes on you. Roman Reigns looks like the guy that wants to punch your face in. Yeah. And that's what he should be, just like the promos that he had been cutting up to this point in 2017.
And but 2017 was a good year for him, I think, generally. The Shield reunion, that was all about, okay, well, Roman has all this heat after work with Braun. Braun's becoming more popular than Roman. People want to see Braun win. Okay, how do we get Roman back over? Okay, we'll put him with the Miz at this time being, and we got Rollins here, and he's the babyface again, and him and Dean just got back together to win the tag belts and their angle. Well, let's put them with Roman to fight off. And my biggest problem with this whole Shield reunion was, it was cool when Seth and Dean got back together. I didn't think they should do a full Shield reunion. I was never on board with it. People judged me so hard, like, why do you hate it? Why are you against it? I'm like, it just doesn't feel like it was so necessary. It felt like they made it necessary. You know what I mean? It wasn't a time where it was necessary. It wasn't like some sort of invasion angle, something like the clubs back together. There was no like real reason to bring the Shield back together. You guys made up a reason to bring the Shield back. Well, let's just put the Miz with Sheamus and Cesaro, and then now there's three guys that had absolutely nothing to do with each other before, but since they're all heels, we'll put them together to try to beat up Roman Reigns, and then next thing you know, Ambrose and Rollins are coming up. It just seems so like, oh, you're doing this to sell merch and get Reigns over again. Now you're going back to the old formula you guys are doing back in 2015 and 2016. Let's put him back with this guy. It's like the Beatles song, the whole like, what would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Yeah, they all walked out on that motherfucker.
Right.
Lend me a hand and I'll sing you a song and I'll try not to sing out of key. And I get by with a little help from my friends. They brought Roman's friends back to help him out, and he's trying to get by, and he's trying to get over, and he's trying to get over with his friends, and then he got sick, and then they had to put Kurt Angle in the spot.
Meningitis.
And that was just, I'm not a super religious person, I'm not super spiritual, I'm not going to get into that type of spiritual topic, but like, I think that was a sign that this wasn't meant to be.
Right. See, I was okay if they would have started the Shield reunion a little bit later, when the invasions did start around Survivor Series time, I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
But they started for me, they started it too soon, because like you said, you have the Miz and then the Bar. Yeah. Like three guys that really don't have anything in common.
They're just heels. That's automatically what makes them. That's the only thing they had in common.
That's it. So, and at Survivor Series, you have the Shield and the New Day, and I guess I get that, because the New Day never is in a 6-man tag, hardly ever. Yeah. It's always just two of them. So I get that part. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. But then from there, then you could have done the Miz and Sheamus and Cesaro. That would have made more sense to me.
No, I agree. And the biggest thing with me was, it just felt, like I said, and I mentioned it before, it just felt really, 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 really forced. It felt like there was absolutely, positively no reason that these three guys should just get together to beat up Roman, and then those guys. It just felt like they were doing it because they needed something for TLC. Mm-hmm. And then when they got it, it never happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what really was shitty about it was, then Roman got hurt, right? And then they had to put Kurt in there, which I think rushed Kurt's return. I think Kurt coming back for Survivor Series or even waiting until WrestleMania would have been a much bigger deal.
Right.
And then you had Dean getting hurt when they finally were kind of back together again. It was good for a couple of weeks. I'm not going to say it was bad. Did I enjoy the Shield reunion? Definitely. It was hard not to enjoy it as a fan. As a hardcore fan that wants to see things that are good in the long run, looking at the big picture, very unnecessary.
Right. I'm with you. 100%, because it didn't need to happen at that point. Like, the teasers of it were pretty cool, and the only reason that I honestly feel that there's two reasons why they put the Shield back together. One, exactly what you said. Okay, maybe if we get the Shield back together, we can get the fans on Roman's side, as the first point, and then the second point is we need somebody to take on the New Day at Survivor Series, because it's brand versus brand. And that's the only real reason I believe that they put the Shield back together.
Was it the Shield versus the New Day at Survivor Series?
Yeah.
Well, I totally blocked that out. Was that a good match?
It was, I mean, as Sean Waltman would say, everybody got their shit in.
Fair enough. And they had the Shield have a couple of matches on Raw against the Miz when they got the opportunity and stuff. And like I said, then Dean got hurt. But once again, there was always that also. Okay, this is what my biggest takeaway from the Shield thing was. I don't know if you realize, I felt it. I don't know, like, and I felt it immediately because I look back at 2015 and 2016. I'm like, when the Shield got back together, it was different because as much when the Shield was originally together, like it was an equal playing field where everybody took turns as the main leader. If I recall, that's how I remember it being. Like sometimes it felt like Seth was the leader, sometimes it felt like Dean was the leader, sometimes it felt like this felt like Roman was above them, and Rollins and Ambrose became very. They lost their characters.
Yeah, they were almost like dependent on him.
They were just guys. They were guys that were happy to be good guys, teaming up, fighting other guys. But like the whole lunatic part of Ambrose seemed like he didn't seem important or relevant as a lunatic. Seth as a babyface after his feud with Triple H, just automatic after he stopped feuding with Triple H and he had the random feud with Bray Wyatt, and then like and then he just started doing the stuff with Dean. Nothing felt relevant until now. Until he's won this IC title, I felt like the Rollins wasn't really doing much until current present day. I felt Rollins' babyface run after Triple H has been really bad, and he lost his character. There was nothing really, besides him having really good fucking matches every other week, like, he wasn't anything special as a character. There was nothing that made me be like, oh my god, like, what Rollins is doing this week is so great.
Yeah, he was just there, kind of. You're right.
I got lucky to be babyface. I love the fans. Like, I'm a good guy now. And I felt like the Shield thing did absolutely positively nothing for Rollins and Ambrose besides maybe getting some sweet merchandise royalties, but otherwise, like, it didn't really, like, it was cool when Ambrose and Rollins first got back together. Like, if they continued running with just those two being like a tag team for a bit, but then it somehow became, it's about Roman. Roman's getting attacked by three guys. We got to reband for Roman. And what did it all end up leading to? It ended up leading to a surprising Royal Rumble where Roman didn't win the Royal Rumble and Shinsuke did. But Roman still ending up in a spot to face Brock Lesnar again, headlining WrestleMania for the 4th consecutive year.
Yep.
Against Brock Lesnar, and as soon as that picture became clear to the fans, they were like, "Oh, fuck this guy again."
Yeah, you may have started turning us, but then you went and pulled this shit, and now I'm done.
It's like you made that. You had a great 2007. Like, people didn't want to see Roman in that spot again. And like I said, the biggest thing for me in 2017 that I didn't realize till right now might have been the fact that it didn't feel like Roman was their top priority in 2007 until maybe the end of the year. Like, yeah, he beat The Undertaker and that was huge. He had a great, important, very relevant feud with John Cena. He was Intercontinental Champion. He did so many things in 2017, but it wasn't like in your face. Like, for me personally, like, fuck this guy. I was like, oh, he's doing some stuff. He's killing it. And then the Shield thing kind of turned me off personally because I'm like, oh, this became something they did because they needed something for these months. They wanted something for TLC and for Survivor Series. But it became more about Roman than it did become about the Shield coming back together. And then when they did the whole Brock thing, I'm like Roman lost Rumble. You'd automatically think that Shinsuke is going to be main eventing with AJ Styles. Like, that would have been the last match on the card. But we all knew that wasn't the case.
Right.
And you have everybody else that the fans want, because the fans like Shinsuke, the fans like AJ, the fans like all these other people, and then you have Roman. And then they did all that fuckery with Roman being like,
kicking out of
Brock Lesnar's Vince's boy. Like,
you know what's funny though is I liked those promos. I thought that they were good.
I think creatively they were good. I think creatively, like, the thought process behind them and what they were trying to do was good. I think it kind of, and people won't agree with this. They're going to shit on us a lot for me saying this, but I did think for that short period of time, they tried to make Roman and his segments be like must-watch TV. Like, what is Roman going to do this week? He's pissed off.
Right.
I thought every time him and Brock went squared off the time, if you want to compare it to the build-up for WrestleMania 31, this was way better.
Yeah. It was absolutely much better.
And the shit Roman was saying was the shit that the fans could agree with. Like, yeah, we don't like Brock. He is never here. He does his collect a check and he leaves. He's, all this stuff that fans are actually still complaining about today, and without them knowing that they might have not even realized this until Roman started singing in those promos. But now everyone's scared that Brock's gonna beat, CM Punk's streak, and everyone's all like, "Well, he's never around." Like, people are kind of turning on Brock these days, and I think that's credit to that build up a little bit, whether people want to believe it or not.
Yeah, it is.
But there's also that thing that it's now it's where, and this might have been the case a long time ago, but it's become the cool thing not to like Roman now.
Right. That's what it is. And for me, the reason why I started liking him a little bit more was because of the promos leading up to WrestleMania. Because it doesn't matter who it is. That's why I have so much respect, and I love watching The Miz when he has the mic, because he's so good at cutting promos to where you're like, wow, I don't know if this is scripted, if this is bullet pointed, or if he's just going off. Obviously, some of the stuff that Roman said, you go, okay, yeah, you can't say he's Vince's boy, but it played out well, for me anyway. But then when you get to the freaking match at WrestleMania, and you go, okay, how many times did Brock... 6 F5s? 6?
Yeah.
Come on,
and I
man.
remember being there live, I remember really not paying attention. The crowd was having way too much fun not paying attention. And I was like, even if I tried to pay attention, like I couldn't. My section was so full of like characters going wild because nobody, like, I'm being honest. If they don't want to believe it, like, I think we could petition to people that be like, yeah, we didn't give a fuck. We actually did not care about this match.
Right, they didn't.
Like that's a very large amount of people that be like, we actually didn't care about that match. It was a bad match. We just at that point, and it's also got a factor, and it's not even just because of Roman and Brock. Like, 7-hour show, we've been there forever. We've had so many ups and downs, so many emotions, and you ended off with like 2 guys that like aren't going to put on like a classic, and we already know that. Like,
yeah.
So I think that's like, and I remember looking away and every couple of seconds looking back up, and it was like the same camera angle. Brock Lesnar hits F5, Roman kicks out. I'm like, is this deja vu? Is this actually just happening again and again and again? And I haven't watched the match back yet, so I don't know, but I just remember being not very impressed with it. When the blood came out, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. It got my attention briefly. And then when Roman lost, that was really shocking.
It was. I think, I mean, I try, and you know me, I try to stay away from dirt sheets, and I try to stay away from spoilers and all that kind of stuff. But like, I had read, and the only people that are going to know if this is true are the people that are involved. But I remember reading that Roman was supposed to beat Brock Lesnar because they hadn't re-signed Lesnar at that time. And he was supposed to win, and Vince called an audible in the match because he goes, well, the crowd fucking hates this guy. We can't send them home mad. Because if there's one thing that I've ever learned from listening to Bruce Pritchard, and Vince McMahon is a catalyst for send them home happy.
I don't know if that's fully the case, man. I think a big part of it was Brock resigning. I think that was a huge part of it. I think a huge part of it was Roman probably was going to win, and Brock resigned. And when they realized that they secured Brock to resign, well, maybe we'll let Brock win. Maybe that was a part of the contract. We don't fucking know. Maybe Roman got screwed, but nobody's going to give a fuck because it's Roman. If it was AJ Styles, if it was Seth Rollins, if it was Finn Balor, maybe we'd be hearing about it right now. But because it was Roman, it was kind of like, oh, okay. And like we mentioned earlier, like a lot of people are falling off the Brock bandwagon, but the fact that Roman didn't win, everyone was okay with Brock for those couple of minutes.
Right.
Because it was shocking. We didn't expect it.
It's true. I'm not really sure what that meant because there's other ways that it could have went. And maybe what we're seeing right now is it's just WWE doesn't know. They want to put the belt on Roman, but they're afraid to put the belt on Roman. Or maybe they're going to drag it out to try to. Maybe they're going to try to turn him heel. But is it too late at this point, man? It's been so many years of people wanting it that I think, and I feel like that's why they never turned John Cena heel, because they waited too long. And maybe they're not going to turn Roman Reigns heel because they waited so damn long.
Do you think they've given up on Roman Reigns? Do you think that's like what's going on now? Because
Possibly.
a lot of people like I don't take the Greatest Royal Rumble as like a really big deal, but there are a lot of people that are like, you know, I didn't expect that was one of the only titles that I expected to change at the Greatest Royal Rumble, and it didn't.
Right. I thought it would too. I'll tell you what. I liked Roman Reigns as the Intercontinental Champion.
I
I
didn't.
I thought he had a good run as the Intercontinental Champion.
We literally discussed this before we got on the air, and this is why I'm very conflicted. Is that there is a part of me that anytime Roman's holding one of the mid card titles, it doesn't feel right
And that's fair.
because of the way they've built him. And now every time he holds the main title, I'm not really cool with it either. I think I just like him being a top guy that's not in the picture.
And you know what though? That's honestly that's fair because they've built him to the point where you're like, well, why is this guy here? But I've also
And they overbuilt him where he doesn't really need a title.
that's kind of true too. Like
They've always established. He's beat Cena. He's beat Taker. He's the only guy he hasn't beat yet at this point is Brock Lesnar.
right. I have always liked like when Triple H and Kane feuded for the Intercontinental title in 2001 after they had both already been champion and big huge main eventers. I thought that was cool. I don't like when Cena held the US title. I thought that was cool because
That was.
at that point you were like, well, the Intercontinental title and the US title are kind of faded into obscurity. So then what does WWE do? Oh, hey, look, Daniel Bryan's your Intercontinental champion. Now Cena's your United States champion. You go, holy shit, these titles mean something now. So
That was cool, but I just I love the fact that Rollins is champion right now.
oh, I absolutely do. Seth Rollins is a wrestler of the year. There's nobody's going to beat him.
I think it's because I don't think of I think Rollins makes a great Intercontinental champion. Same with the Miz because it's not, for me it's always going to be that workhorse title.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess I know he's a workhorse. That's me being very. It's a subjective opinion, but maybe I just don't see Roman as like that workhorse type of wrestler. Like I wouldn't put Roman in this. And like I said, I find Roman very entertaining. I don't think he's like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels in the ring or something.
No, absolutely not. But he doesn't need
to. Yeah, I know.
He needs to be almost like a Braun Strowman where he just beats you down. But he's got to have that I don't give a shit attitude. I don't care. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to cut a promo and it's going to be 15 words at the most. And then I'm done. I'm out of here and I'm going to say a few things. Like Braun Strowman got over on a fluke. If you ever hear his video where he's talking about when he says get these hands, he goes, I don't even know what the hell that means. I don't know why I said that. I've never said that in my life. He got
over by saying I'm not finished with you yet and going after Reigns.
Right. But I'm saying like get these hands is probably the second most over chant behind Rusev Day, right?
Well, and don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to say, like, I don't even think like that was supposed to catch on either. Like, oh, no. I'm not finished with you. I think that was just something he yelled in the midst of that. Like, and
right.
Maybe something, when you're beating him up, come after him again and say that. But it was just one of those things that, he just said it, and then that before get these hands, that was a popular thing. Was like, I'm not finished with you yet. They kept making memes of Braun showing up places not being finished. Then obviously Braun that got over, and then now it's get these hands everything. But that's the thing, and that's why people are kind of behind Braun. That's why people are behind Cena, and that's why we were behind Cena at first, because their rises to the top felt organic and the fans chose them. Right. With Roman, it's like, okay, yeah, we did choose him. I'm not going to say we didn't when he was a part of the Shield. But once we figured out that's what you guys wanted, we didn't want it no more. Right. And now you're giving it to him. Now you're shoving him down our throats. Now he's getting the super push, and we see it, that you're doing it that way. And we don't want that. And I think we've made it all the way to the end, 2018. I think Roman, and what I think can conclude with is that it's not Roman's fault. Roman's not bad, and we might get a lot of heat for saying that because people are like, no, he does suck, man. What the hell is the Superman punch? You never see. What the hell was the people's elbow?
It's true.
What was the Mr. Sacco? What
Right.
was
No, you're right. 100% right.
what like guys, come on, like it's wrestling. It's like it's okay. If people have moves that are super absolute positively. The rock bottom, like if someone hit me with the rock bottom, I don't think I'd be knocked the fuck out.
Right. No, you
You
wouldn't
know,
be.
like there's a lot of moves that are silly. Like, you know, the Hulk Hogan used to finish people off with a leg drop. Macho Man used to do a flying elbow. Those were moves that used to finish people off, and now they're just regular moves that people do in the midst of their moveset. What is the super kick? If you, that's
An
a whole
overused
topic.
move.
It used to be switch and music, take someone out. Now it's like everyone does a super kick, and oddly enough, it still finishes matches sometimes. And it's kind of like, how did that? That's how they're finishing the match. The super kick.
It's true.
That's what everybody uses. But so if you're bitching about the Superman punch, and then you're bitching about the wrong things. If you're bitching about his promos, I agree. He shouldn't be cutting long-winded promos. But you have to admit, in 2017, he wasn't that bad.
No. 2017, to me, was his best year as a singles competitor. By far.
Mm-hmm. We're running out of things to hate about Roman is my point. And I feel like we're just hating him through the way he's been booked. Would a heel turn still help him? What do you think?
I mean, it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot because he has the heel look. Like when he gets pissed, like he's very good at controlling his facial expressions and making himself look pissed off and look angry. And he could be a very good heel. He could, but I don't know. If
like right now, and if we're talking about currently right now, he beat Samoa Joe, which I think was a huge mistake. I think Joe should have beat him, and now he's feuding with Jinder. That's where we're at this very particular moment. And this thing once again, let's put a heel that we know the fans are supposed to hate against Reigns. That we like, oh, who they're going to boo, Jinder or Reigns? Obviously, they're going to boo Jinder. There's a chance here that they might be putting Jinder over now, right?
They could be. I mean, it's got to. They got to.
There's a chance that they could be putting Jinder over.
Jinder Mahal, like Jinder hasn't been around, and here's where it's tough for Jinder, right? Because Jinder was booked as a complete joke for the longest time. He leaves, he comes back, and he has a great, in my opinion, he has a great run as a heel champion. Great run.
He's the only real heel. Well, all these other guys we talked about with AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, all these other heels that they kind of had him work with, where they're trying to get Reigns over. They still kind of had a fan base that was like the hardcore fans liked AJ Styles, the hardcore fans liked Seth Rollins, the hardcore fans liked Triple H, the hardcore fans liked Bray Wyatt. People legitimately don't like Jinder Mahal. I think Jinder, out of all those guys, has the least amount of actual fans.
Probably, you're probably right.
But I'm still sitting here, and we should probably end this now. We went a lot longer than all of our other episodes, and it's probably going to be the one that's been all over the place. Yeah. This might be a downfall. This might be the end of this podcast. But
we're done. We're finished.
We're done. This was so bad. We're all over. I think we had a little bit more research done this time, if anything, though.
Yeah,
we came a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, which maybe that's why we went a little bit longer, because we tried to timeline it and not just talk.
Yeah,
because we wanted to. Because it was important for us to talk about Roman in that timeline. Because he didn't suck the whole time.
And we also admitted the times he did suck, and that he has been shitty. I think 2015, 2016, he was really shitty. I wasn't a fan. I started cutting him some slack in 2017. I think, but I'm still saying, at this point, with Jinder Mahal, with the fact that he didn't get to make it to the Money in the Bank match because Jinder cost him the shot, the fact that he lost to Brock twice. I don't know why he beat Joe. I wish he lost to Joe too, because if you continue to make Roman lose right now and have him lose to Jinder, to put Jinder over and still have Roman lose, we could also be leading to another opportunity to be like, hey, flip the switch, let Roman lose his fucking mind, and turn heel.
Yeah, you could. Let him be. Roman Reigns should be what Samoa Joe is.
Angry. All the time.
Just an angry SOB. That's what Roman Reigns should be. That's what he could be. And like you said, he should not have beat Samoa Joe. But I feel like Samoa Joe has probably lost his luster with the WWE office because he's often injured.
Might have been the case. I just think and I know the fact that Joe's going to SmackDown. I think the only reason Reigns went over is they needed Reigns to have one big win since losing to Brock twice in a row,
Right.
and they wanted Reigns to redeem himself, and they used Joe for that person. I just think the idea of Reigns continuously losing to all of a sudden just get angry and be like, well, you know what? Because I love the shit Joe was saying to him about being a failure, and I'm like, oh, this is. I think at this point everyone's kind of getting under Reigns' skin, and I don't want him to be the Cena where like everyone gets under his skin, and he just overcomes the odds, and he's happy-go-lucky. Like, I love everybody still, because that was the one thing, and I still hate that about Cena. As much as I tolerate and respect Cena, I hate some of his promos where he's all like too babyface, and that's my biggest beef with Cena is the fact that I hate his character is always so cheesy. That's not. I love the edgy guys. I love the Edges and the Jordans and the Batistas and the Triple H's and people that have the little bit of edge in them. Even when Shawn Michaels would feud against certain people, he had that edge in him. Even after he found Jesus.
Yeah, you're right. You're
You
right.
know?
But I feel like Jinder Mahal, the WWE as a whole, has so much more to gain if they have Jinder Mahal beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah. But then it's like, how are you gonna have Roman turn heel and face Jinder because Jinder's not gonna be the baby face?
No, you can honestly just end that feud.
That's true.
You could have Jinder go over. You don't have
And go
to
after the title because you
Right.
just beat Reigns. I want Brock now. You guys screwed me out of Brock. Survivor Series, give me Brock one match. Let Brock destroy him if that's what they really want,
Right.
and then have Roman turn to a bad guy.
Roman can just start beating the shit out of whoever crosses his path, and then I feel that could save him.
And having Roman in a cool IC title feud with Rollins all of a sudden, or Balor or something as a bad guy.
Yeah.
How Balor get some fucking relevancy again?
Oh, that's another topic for another day.
Ah,
But okay, so you know what? I just thought of this. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I can't see you. Remember, you're frozen.
I know. Go
Let
ahead.
it go. Okay, so I lost my train of thought here. So at some point, somebody fan wise says, "Well, you have to be able to talk and cut promos to be in the main event picture, right?" People said that for years. Look at what happened with Nakamura when he first came up to the roster. They had him cutting these promos and these weird interviews, and you're like, dude, I love you as a wrestler. Your charisma is freaking ridiculous. You've got like the coolest entrance theme ever. But
Yeah,
dude, like I hate your promos. And then he turns heel and he doesn't say anything. He says, "No speak English." And it's so over and it's so effective and it's so perfect. And that goes to show you right there that you do not need to speak to be a champion or be in the main event picture.
I also think, and I know I'm like pulling for it so hard, and people like this guy really wants this to happen. I think Roman cutting promos as a heel would be so much more easy to buy than him cutting promos as a babyface. Because when he talks like a badass, if he talks like a badass and he's a bad guy, he's a dick.
Right.
You know? Okay? Like, it's easy to be like, this guy's a dick. Like,
Gotcha.
you know?
No, you're right.
But I think we should tie a bow, I think the people say on this Roman episode.
Hey, you gave me shit when I said put a bow on it. On the first episode. I'll go back.
Okay.
I'm posting clips. All right. It's going.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. But I think we did some justice for Roman Reigns. I think some people might think we were trying to defend Roman Reigns. I think that we looked at it at a very mature way of like, I appreciate all wrestlers for what they do. I don't hate anybody. I think Roman Reigns might be a really cool person in real life. I'm talking about the Roman Reigns character. I'm talking about the way that he's been booked and the fact that I think that he's not that bad as a character or as a character on television. It just he's been booked in a way that is not what the fans want. And the WWE and Vince McMahon have said, like, whoa, we listen to our fans. And I feel like it's been not the way we want him to be booked, not the way that the fans wanted. And once we turned against him, they continued to do whatever the fuck they wanted against what we hardcore fans wanted. But I don't think Roman's that bad. And it's not defending Roman. I just think I'm just cut the guy some slack. He had a great 2017 and 2018, man. At the point that we're at right now, he's at a point where we were shocked. We thought that everything that has happened the past 4 years was to lead to him beating Brock Lesnar this year, and it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So anything can happen now.
Anything can happen. So what do we got going forward, man? Let's talk about some good stuff outside of Roman Reigns, because you guys are probably tired of hearing about Roman Reigns, and you've probably unfollowed our page. You might not even be listening anymore. Who knows? But we're still here, goddammit.
Next week, the New World Order and NWO for life, baby. And it's for life because it's been over 20 years and people still love the NWO. NWO merch still sells like crazy. I rock my NWO chalk line jacket and I get a compliment or a comment every time, even if it's just a random stranger throwing up a too sweet at me. It happens. I'm not lying. This isn't a joke. And I mean, like, I wear it not even in a place, a wrestling environment, and I get that type of reaction because people, you see the NWO logo and everybody's on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I posted on our Instagram page our first episode we were talking about it, right? I posted my 8th grade history teacher when he signed it. Like, that's when wrestling was at its height, and it got to that point because of the NWO. That's what pushed the envelope.
So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about how it became a thing, how popular it was. We were both alive through it. We both lived through it. We knew what wrestling was like pre-NWO. We knew what wrestling was after NWO. We'll talk about their influence on the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era, just wrestling in general, the impact they made, and also how it kind of faded away as a group, but still lives on for life.
Which is crazy when you think about it, because their demise was so bad, but they're still talked about and so highly regarded. It's awesome.
Everyone, that original concept, the original NWO, everything that happened, like, wrestling was never as popular as it was during that period of time, and I don't think there would have been a Mr. McMahon, a Stone Cold Steve Austin, a Rock, a DX.
There definitely would not have been a DX.
NWO.
No.
Is that something you can agree with?
I absolutely can agree with what I heard from what you just said.
We're losing connection. We've been having some technical difficulties. I've actually had to move around a couple of times because of it. So if you guys pick up on any of that, once again, man, this is still new. This is only episode 3. We're figuring out all the kinks and the quirks. We're trying to structure this a little bit better. I think we're finding our groove still. But next week, the NWO, followers on Instagram, this SCDNA show. Find us on SoundCloud. Find us on iTunes. Give us a rating. Give us 5 stars. Help us, man. Let's make this baby grow. This TWC shop was going to drop today. Today is Saturday. I just got a few little things I got to finish on, and I think it's ready to drop, to be honest.
Ooh, yeah.
Get all of your Wrestling Classic and Squared Circle DNA merchandise. Honestly, and if you guys, I think a lot of people might look at it and look at their faces, but honestly, like, quality, man. I mean, a huge quality. If you've ever bought shirts from WWE shop, you got them and they feel like cardboard and they end up just sitting in your drawer and you never wear them unless it's like to a WWE event. These aren't these shirts. These are shirts that you can wear all the time to the gym. They're comfortable. They have a stretchy material, and you are paying for what you're getting, and that's why they are priced kind of the way they're priced. They're not a cheap $20 shirt,
That's right.
And some of them are $20. So for $20, you get a quality shirt, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you get a quality shirt with a quality brand.
Yeah, and I think what else is going on, Danny? We got some giveaways and stuff for the plan.
Yeah, we got some giveaways for all you Roman lovers and or haters, because everybody loves cool autograph stuff, right? We're going to post up here. We're going to do a contest, autographed PWI with Roman Reigns on the cover, his signature on the cover as well. I have a friend who's an airport stalker. That's how it got signed. He doesn't care, but it is what it is. I buy them from him. I bought this, guys. I'm giving this away. We're giving it away
for
free.
And
no
even
purchases.
If you don't like Roman, try to wear it, flip it on eBay. Do what you do.
Yeah, I don't care, man. We just need the audience. We're probably gonna do some Instagram live stuff, and announce that we're gonna try to start doing some Twitch stuff, guys. I'm excited about the Twitch. I feel like Twitch is going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun to me for us. I believe the Instagram live stuff is fun, but we want to expand and we want to be able to give more. We want to be able to do more with you guys, create more quality content. As you know, Instagram videos are not like high def. Just we want to have we want to be everywhere for you guys and be available. We want you to feel like we're part of your circle, and we want you to feel part of our circle too.
And I think the Wrestling Classic, I always say it's how it's our page, the home of us fans. It's the home of the fans of the greatest form of art and athleticism, which is professional wrestling in my mind. And the Squared Circle DNA podcast and the brand is an extension to that, man. This is our family, man. We're bringing it over, and we're trying to expand it and build on it. And you guys have heard me for years say that I want to expand this. I want it to be bigger. I want it to grow, and this is a part of that. So if you support the Wrestling Classic, you should be supporting the Squared Circle DNA podcast as well, because it's just as much as your guys' as it is ours. And the more that we get this groove down, the more that we get the structure down for this podcast, the more that I'm going to involve more of your guys' comments directly. I apologize, I haven't been doing that properly yet, where I'm actually reading out comments that you guys left about the topics we're talking about. So hopefully this week I'll put a post about the NWO and ask you guys what you guys thought about the NWO, and we'll read out some of your guys' thoughts about the NWO right off my page. I'll read out those comments, to get you guys more involved. So that's what it's about. We're still trying to figure it out. I'm going to keep saying that until we get to a point where I feel like we figured it out. But do you ever really figure it out? That's a real question.
No, you just evolve, brother. You just evolve. Yeah. And that's all we're doing every single week. I mean, technical difficulties are technical difficulties. Sometimes you can't control your internet connection, man. It is what it is. We're making the best. We're making chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Exactly, dude. And
hey, Justin's back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, was I frozen the whole fucking time?
No, you're still frozen, but now I can. Now you don't sound like you have the mic up your ass.
I wasn't up my ass before. That's hilarious. Yeah, guys, technical difficulties. That's what happens. But I think this is good. I think you guys have a lot to look forward to next week. The NWO. Ba-da-da-dum-bum, ba-da-da-dum. And then, yeah, man, we got a whole lineup set with Squared Circle DNA is gonna keep growing and be more seductive than sex, man.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we got the graphics, swift fades on the graphics, guys.
Yeah, shout out to Swift Fades. They almost would have went again without giving him a shout out, and he would have been really pissed off. Shout out to Swift Fades for the graphics for the Squared Circle DNA, man. If you don't follow Swift Fades on Instagram, follow him. He's killing it with his edits and his designs. Shout out to Royal Click for making me the TWC shop logo. He came through with that in a very last minute effort when I literally just randomly messaged him like, hey, do you want to quickly do that? And if you guys don't know, man, I'm pretty sure Royal Click was really highly involved in creating the Wrestling Classic logo, so that's why I trust him so much. I hope you guys all enjoy this episode. I know it might not be everyone's favorite episode, but we got it out the way early. We won't be talking about Roman Reigns for a very long time unless something crazy happens, like he turns heel. But
right, then that'll probably end up being a live show.
But that's the end of Roman Reigns, guys. You can believe that.